Thea Stilton, Mouseford Academy. The Mysterious Love Letter. Scholastic. A Secret Admirer. The air in Mouseford Academy's newsroom was filled with tension. The latest issue of the school's weekly paper was about to go to press, but the front-page articles were not ready. That morning, a few mouselets and ratlets had met to edit the sports section. Now it was late afternoon, and they were finishing up. It was time for Tanya, the paper's editor-in-chief, to take over. "Good luck, team," called writer Flashyfur, the paper's sports editor, on his way out. Tanya and the rest of her editorial team Colette, Nikki, Pamela, Paulina, Violet, Ruby, Zoe, Connie, and Alicia got to work right away. Soon the room was alive with the sound of clicking keyboards and excited squeaking as the rodents made comments and suggestions on the articles. After a few hours, the sky had turned a deep blue. The issue was finally ready. "Mouselets, we did it!" Tanya cheered. "Let's celebrate with a few cups of cocoa," Violet said. "I'll go put the kettle on." Outside the office, something caught her attention. 2 envelopes were sticking out of a suggestion box the newspaper staff had placed there for letters and comments from the academy's students. "Someone wrote to the paper," Violet exclaimed as she came back into the room. "Who wrote to us?" With the envelopes in her paw. Real letters were rare, since most readers sent emails with their comments. In fact, the mouselets scarcely paid any attention to the suggestion box. "Let's read them right away," Colette suggested. "Maybe we'll get some inspiration for our next issue." Nikki opened the pink envelope and removed a piece of paper. "A mouselet is asking for advice about her summer vacation," she summed up as she scanned the letter. "Maybe we should do an article about vacation destinations." Pam chose the yellow envelope. "Listen to this. A rat named Carl is asking us to publish our favorite pizza recipe." "What a scrumptious subject." From one pizza lover to another, Paulina joked. "Sounds like the perfect topic for you, Pam." While the mouselets were giggling, Tanya spotted an envelope under her chair. "Hey, here's another one." She picked it up, tore open the envelope, and began reading. "Hey, Tanya, is everything okay?" Colette asked. "Your snout just turned redder than Pam's favorite tomato sauce." Tanya smiled shyly. "You'll never believe it, mouselets," she explained. "Someone here at the academy has a secret admirer. This is true romance." At Tanya's words, the mouselets all started squeaking at once. "A secret admirer? Can you tell who wrote the letter? Who is it for? Let me set. Let me read it, too." Curious as a pack of cats, the editorial team huddled around Tanya. They were all dying to read the mysterious letter. As the paper was passed from paw to paw, a dreamy silence fell over the room. Colette was the first to break the silence. "No doubt about it, this is true romance. My dearest cheese niblet, you don't know how much adore you. I wish I could find the right words to tell you how much I'll admire you when we're in class together, or as you scurry across campus. Wrote this poem to tell you how I'll feel, though I'll never find the courage to give it to you. Shall I compare thee to a slice of cheese? Thou art lovelier than flavors like these. Brie is a treat, but you are sweeter. Swiss is bliss, but you are neater. So long as mice can squeak or eyes can see, I'll be your friend and devote myself to thee." Ruby stood up and snatched the letter. "Of course it is. Stop sticking your snout in my personal business." Ruby was the most popular mouselet at the academy. She was always surrounded by a gaggle of admirers, and she was sure that the letter was meant for her. "I don't see your name on the envelope, Ruby," Nikki pointed out, turning it over in her paws. "Right," Tanya said, gently pulling the paper away from Ruby. And your name isn't on the letter either. It's obviously meant for me. Ruby protested. Who else would it be for? Actually, we don't even know if it's for a boy or a girl mouse. This could be intended for any rodent on campus, Pam argued. Think about it, a mouse who's too shy to proclaim his or her feelings writes an anonymous letter and sends it to the school newspaper to have it published. Violet nodded. Pam's right. This way, the mouse he or she is crushing on could read his or her words, Violet concluded. And the writer wouldn't have to reveal his or her identity. It's so romantic. Colette sighed. What a sweet, sincere letter. Too bad the author doesn't have the courage to come forward. So let's help this mouse declare him or herself, said Nikki. Let's publish the letter in the newspaper and ask the mystery mouse to reveal his or her identity. Everyone liked the idea, but there was one problem. The latest issue of the newspaper was already closed, and it was too late to add another article. Tanya quickly came up with a solution. They could post the letter on the newspaper's blog, which all the students on campus read daily. And so, on that same evening, Paulina posted the letter online, inviting the mysterious letter writer to reveal his or her identity. The search for the secret admirer had begun. The mystery of Anonymous. The next morning, practically every rodent on campus was buzzing about the anonymous letter. There were dozens of funny and fascinating comments posted on the newspaper's blog. The case of the secret crush, as the students called it, was the most intriguing thing to happen at Mouseford Academy since the cafeteria had started serving fat-free cheese. Ruby didn't miss an opportunity to boast about her secret admirer. She was sashaying around campus telling everybody that the letter was all about her. I insisted on having the letter published, she declared. That poor rodent was so sweet to write to me that I'm willing to meet him. I'm sure I'll hear from him today. Pam and Violet exchanged skeptical glances. Betcha an extra cheese pizza. That letter was not for her, Pam whispered, winking. Violet nodded. What do you say we go check the blog? Maybe there's news. In the computer lab, the two friends met up with Paulina. She was in charge of running the blog and had spent the whole morning in front of the computer, hoping the author would reveal his identity. After a few minutes, Colette and Nikki joined them. Nikki, you're here, too? Violet said. What about gymnastics practice? And you, Colette? Pam added. Aren't you supposed to be doing research on Japanese theater for Professor Plotfer? The two friends stuttered, blushing redder than a pair of cheese rinds. Then they looked at each other and burst out laughing. This mystery had struck a chord with every student on campus. The young mice were all obsessed. Suddenly, Paulina jumped up. There he is, she exclaimed. 17's him. The mouselets gasped and gazed at the computer screen. What did he write? Has he revealed his identity? Colette asked. Or her identity, I mean? Paulina shook her snout. No, nothing like that, she replied. But there's another letter. Rotten rat's teeth. We're dealing with one mysterious mouse here. Pam sighed. Colette was already reading the letter. It's true, but this letter is so beautiful, I almost don't mind. You've got to read it, Pam. Well, one mystery has been cleared up, Nikki noticed. This time our mysterious writer has called himself Romeo, just like the famous character in Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. So I'm guessing he's a boy. My darling cheese nip, at last my words can reach you, thanks to this blog. So scrape the cheese out of your ears and listen, my sweet little cheese stick. If you do, you'll hear my heart beat to the sound of your dance steps, as soft and light as freshly grated Parmesan on pasta. I am thinking of you. Yours, Romeo. A love song. In the days that followed, the obsession with the mysterious Romeo spread faster than the smell of baked brie. Romeo's identity was still a secret, but every day a new romantic message was posted on the blog. After a week, Romeo's fans formed a club in his honor. "Look what Ellie gave me," Nikki said one morning, catching up with her friends outside the music room. "This is the latest fashion from the Romeo Club. Cute, isn't it?" She showed the Thea sisters a funny green t-shirt with glittery writing on it. "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, who art thou, Romeo? Does it come in pink, too?" Colette asked eagerly. "Wait, did you join the Romeo Club, Nikki?" Craig said as he and Shin scampered up to the girls. The mouselets giggled. "No, we're not in the club," Pam assured him. "Good," Craig replied. "Then you might want to join my new group." He opened his jacket to reveal a white t-shirt with big letters that read, "I am not Romeo." Just then Professor Arya called the students into the classroom. "Hurry up, slowpokes, class is starting. Come on in." The mouselets rushed to their seats. This was certainly not the time to try to uncover Romeo's identity. But there was someone who just couldn't stop brooding about it, Ruby. She was still trying to convince everyone she was the object of Romeo's affection, but the days kept slipping by and he still hadn't come forward. Some of her classmates had even started teasing her about it. "This is getting more unbearable than the final season of Mouse Idol," Ruby whispered to Connie as Professor Arya began her lecture. Today there was another letter, but that Chesebrin Romeo still hasn't revealed himself. What is he waiting for? A balcony? A personal invitation? "But they're such nice letters," said Alicia, who was sitting behind her. "I printed them out so I can carry them with me all the time." As she squeaked, she tried to pass the bundle of letters to her friend, but the rubber band holding them together broke and the letters cascaded to the floor. Alicia gasped in embarrassment. Professor Arya took one look at the papers strewn across the floor and said, "What's this? Has Romeo started delivering his letters straight to her classroom?" Her students all sat up straight, expecting a scolding, but the professor had something else in mind. She smiled at them mischievously. "Class, for a week now we've been talking nonstop about love, am I right?" she asked. Her reply came from a mouselet sitting in the first row, who let out a long sigh. "So here's what we'll do," the professor continued. "Our next assignment will be musical. By the end of next week, I want each of you to write a love song. The clues don't add up." "Professor Arya is really a Mouseford teacher," Pam said as they scurried out of class. "She always comes up with interesting incentives for us to do our homework." "Yeah, it's true," Nikki agreed. "If only this assignment would give Romeo some incentive to reveal his identity." "You said it, sis," Paulina said. "We were hoping to help make his romance a reality, but Romeo seems determined to avoid the spotlight." Colette looked pensive. "What do you say we give him a little help? Come with me." She led the mouselets up to her room. "We don't have many clues to Romeo's identity," Colette explained as she stretched out on her bed with printouts of Romeo's letters. "But we have a lot of clues to help us figure out who the object of his affection is." Grinning, she picked up one of Romeo's letters. But before she could continue, Nikki interjected, "Don't squeak, Coco. I know who the real Juliet is." The mouselet's jaws all dropped open. Nikki nodded. "Listen to this and tell me if it reminds you of anyone." She began reciting one of the letters from memory. "My darling fur face, you devote yourself to sports. You are as graceful as a guinea pig, as fast as a hamster on a wheel, as limber as a lemur. There could be no doubt about it, that description fit Nikki perfectly. So was Nikki the mysterious Juliet? Okay, but what do you say about this? Violet interrupted, pulling a piece of paper from her pocket. Your paws touch your instrument strings as lightly as the wings of a butterfly. The notes you spin are as smooth as cream cheese on a bagel, as melodic as Munster sizzling on a griddle, as gorgeous as goat cheese topped with gorgonzola. Curdled cottage cheese. Paulina exclaimed. That sounds like you, Vi. The letters must be about you. Wait a minute. Pam interrupted her. Have you forgotten that letter he wrote about a rodent with soft, cuddly fur who loves pepperoni pizza? But it doesn't make any sense, blurted Colette, who had not said a word until then. Here Romeo writes about fur that shines like Swiss cheese in the sun. He must be writing about a blonde. The mouselets were squeakless. Each one recognized herself in passages of some letters. What could it mean? When the mouselets compared the various descriptions in the letters, though, something didn't add up. You would almost think that all of us are Juliet. Pam exclaimed. So that means none of us is, Paulina concluded. For a moment, there was a look of disappointment on each mouselet's snout. But their sad expressions were quickly replaced by laughter. Still, it really did sound like he